And well, we are 19 days away from the NBA season and 2 days into training camp. The Golden State Warriors camp, it was a little bit fuller today. Look who was introduced. They officially welcomed Al Horford, their new center, to the team yesterday. He spoke for the first time about how excited he is to be on the same side of the court as Steph Curry.
I'm excited just to be able to be on the floor with him and not have to chase him around and try to contest him and all that. So the fact that we're on the same side, it's something that it's special for me, and I'm really gonna try to take advantage and learn from him as much as I can. He sees the game in a very incredible way, and I'm just gonna follow suit and really lean on him and lean on Draymond to kind of show me the way.
Can you blame Al? No one wants to have to chase around Steph Curry as a defender. Right now, welcoming in our Warriors reporter Anthony Slater live at Chase Center with that gorgeous Bay Area view in the background. Slater, training camp, it was a little bit busier today. How are guys like Horford and Kuminga, he's back, right, acclimating to this team?
Yeah, Al Horford, like you said, did his intro presser about 20 feet to my right yesterday. He said he did not contemplate retirement this summer. He actually signed a 2-year deal. I think the big thing is he's already acclimating. He was in the San Diego for the camp with Jimmy Butler. They called it a seamless fit. It's very obvious to see how he fits in this Steve Kerr system. There's no concerns there. One of the interesting things about Al Horford and what Steve Kerr's talked about how he fits into every lineup, I think it's fair to say, Jonathan Kuminga's negotiations this summer were contentious, but one of the things that both sides agreed upon was signing Al Horford would hard cap them, to this mid-level, but even Kuminga side thought it was such a great signing because Al Horford, as a stretch center, as a 5 that can shoot the ball, is going to help every lineup, really including the lineups that have Jonathan Kuminga in it, because one of the issues for Kuminga has been a lack of space at times. And I think, this coaching staff, I know actually, is very interested to see lineups that have Horford and Kuminga in them.
Interesting. So that's something that we will certainly be keeping an eye on. There's been so much conversation about Kuminga, his role with this team, but we know, at least for now, to start the season, he is there, and they are determined to try to make the most of it because this is a group that has their eyes on a championship to maximize the end of Steph Curry. I feel like I say that all the time, maximize the end of Steph Curry. Anthony Slater, thank you so very much. The Warriors are, though, as Anthony mentioned, if Al Horford is in the starting lineup, some might call it seasoned, some might say old. On this show, we like to highlight the approach, right? With Al Horford in the fold, Golden State could start 5 players over 35 on opening night. They would be the second team to have 5 players that old at the beginning of the year since the Mavericks in 2011-2012. So Bobby, Horford, Buddy, Curry, Jimmy, Draymond, the oldest starting lineup since those Mavericks. Given that, how confident are you that this Warriors team, now that we know what their roster looks like, they can fulfill their goal here of making it all the way to an NBA championship?
Well, first put me in the category of seasoned. It's not old. I am in the camp of being seasoned here. I think, Malika, look, when you have Stephen Curry on the court, anytime you have a chance, I think we have to look at what the body of work in the second half of the season was last year when they made that Jimmy Butler trade, how good this team was. We don't know where they would have gone in the playoffs if Curry had stayed healthy. Could they have beaten Minnesota? And when you look at the off-season additions, you basically you add Al Horford, you lose Kevon Looney, you bring in Seth Curry, and you also bring back D'Anthony Melton and Jonathan Kuminga. So your bench, of course, gets better. So they've got a chance. Are they in Oklahoma City territory? No, but they're in the mix with the rest of the teams in the Western Conference.
Whenever you have Steph Curry on your roster, you are always in the mix. And now it's just about putting that 23-8 that we saw down the stretch of the season since they traded for Jimmy Butler, putting that record out, extrapolating it over the course of the season. The biggest thing for them is going to be, can they stay healthy? It's so important for a seasoned squad. Let's stick in the West here. Victor Wembanyama.
Warriors Nation, buckle up, because what we're about to dive into is one of the most exciting, intriguing, and emotional turns of the offseason. This is Warriors Nation News, and today we're talking about the Golden State Warriors reaching a critical decision point. The $5.6 million team option on rising guard Brandin Podziemski, the end of the long Kuminga saga, and the splashy signing of Seth Curry, which has fans buzzing about the return of a true Splash Bros energy at Chase Center. This is not just another off-season update. This is a roadmap to what Golden State's new identity could look like heading into the 2025-26 season. The Kuminga domino finally falls. Let's start where everything started this summer. Jonathan Kuminga's contract battle. For months, the front office was handcuffed, unable to finalize moves while waiting for clarity on their young star's future. Now it's settled. Kuminga is locked in on a 2-year, $48 million deal. That's huge. Not only does it keep a 22-year-old potential all-star in a Warriors jersey, but it also freed the front office to finally make moves that had been sitting in verbal agreement limbo. And boy, did they act fast. Within days, Al Horford, DeAnthony Melton, and Seth Curry were all signed. Suddenly, the roster that had looked shaky and incomplete just weeks ago is taking real shape. Kuminga's deal also reflects a compromise. The Warriors wanted team flexibility. He wanted player control. In the end, they landed somewhere in the middle. Short-term money, high value, and another chance for Kuminga to prove he's a cornerstone. That was the domino, and once it fell, the floodgates opened. The Podziemski question. But now comes another decision, one that might not be as flashy, but is just as important. Brandin Podziemski's $5.6 million team option. Podziemski is entering the third year of his rookie contract. The Warriors already picked up his first option, and now they must decide by October 31st whether to guarantee the next one. If they pick it up, Pods will cost $5.6 million in salary, but only count for a $3.6 million cap hit. This is where it gets interesting. Podziemski carved out a legitimate role last season. Coming off the bench, he averaged 11.7 points, 5.1 rebounds, and 3.4 assists in just under 27 minutes per game. That's not a throwaway stat line. That's a player producing, rebounding from the guard spot, playmaking, and showing poise way beyond his years. Head coach Kerr even singled him out after a recent scrimmage. BP had an incredible day today. He's looking more poised, more confident with his shot, staying off the refs. A lot of guys looked good, but BP stood out today. That's the kind of endorsement that carries weight. Kerr has coached Hall of Famers. When he praises a young guy, it matters. Now add context. DeAnthony Melton, the other new guard addition, is coming off a torn ACL. Even if he's back, he may not be 100% right away. That means Podziemski is likely to log major minutes early in the season, even if Melton eventually gets healthy. With Klay Thompson gone, the Warriors simply can't afford to lose depth at shooting guard. Picking up Pods' option feels not just smart, but obvious. And even if the Warriors ultimately decide to move him in a trade down the road, exercising the option preserves his value. No team in their right mind is letting a 22-year-old guard with versatility, IQ, and upside just walk for nothing. The Splash Bros reunion. Seth and Steph Curry. This is not just about basketball. It's about history, family, and storylines that make the NBA special. Steph and Seth Curry have never shared an NBA locker room before. They've battled each other plenty, but now for the first time, they're teammates. Seth isn't just Steph's little brother. He's one of the deadliest three-point shooters in NBA history, with a career mark of 43.3% from deep. Last season in Charlotte, he shot 46.6% from three. That's elite. That's a weapon. And for a team that just lost Klay Thompson, this is the perfect way to restore some of that outside shooting presence. Think about the dynamic. Defenses already panic when Steph is on the floor. Now imagine Seth running off screens alongside him. Double Steph? Seth punishes you. Leave Seth open? That's 3 points almost half the time. Add in Jimmy Butler's ability to collapse defenses, Draymond orchestrating in the half court, and Kuminga slashing at the rim, and suddenly Golden State's offense looks layered, balanced, and dangerous again. Depth, balance, and the roster taking shape. Here's what the projected rotation looks like now. Starters: Stephen Curry, Brandin Podziemski, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, Al Horford. Second unit: Seth Curry, DeAnthony Melton, Buddy Hield, Moses Moody, Gary Payton II, Quentin Post. That's veteran leadership, elite shooting, versatile defenders, and young players hungry to prove themselves. Horford brings championship experience and spacing at center. Butler brings toughness and edge. Seth Curry brings shooting. Podziemski and Moody bring development and energy. Payton brings hustle and defense. And most importantly, Steph Curry still anchors it all. In year 17, he's still performing at an MVP caliber level, still commanding double teams, still the heartbeat of the Warriors. Add his brother into the mix, and you've got both a sentimental story and a practical boost to the roster. Why this all works in Golden State's favor? Here's why I see all of this as favorable for the Warriors. Kuminga's contract is short and flexible. It keeps him motivated to perform while also protecting the team financially. Podziemski is trending upward. Picking up his option is almost a no-brainer, and it strengthens Golden State's bench and future. Seth Curry's signing fills the Clay-sized gap. He won't be peak Clay, but his shooting is elite and he fits seamlessly into Kerr's system. Horford, Melton, and Payton too add grit and balance. The roster has depth now, something that plagued them last year with injuries. The core still believes. Curry, Draymond, Butler, they're not just hanging on. They believe they can contend, and with this roster construction, they can. The Western Conference will be brutal. OKC, Denver, Houston, Phoenix, the Lakers, but the Warriors now have a roster that can compete on multiple levels. They have shooting, defense, versatility, leadership, and youth. That's not a fading dynasty. That's a retooled contender. Warriors Nation, here's where I stand. Golden State is making all the right moves. They locked Kuminga, they're about to lock Podziemski, and they added Seth Curry for the perfect mix of shooting and sentiment. This team is deeper, smarter, and hungrier than it was last year. And with Steph Curry still leading the way, this is a group that can absolutely make noise in the West. Now it's your turn. Do you think the Warriors should pick up Podziemski's option without hesitation? Are you excited about the Curry brothers finally sharing a court in Golden State? And do you believe this roster, as currently constructed, can push for another championship? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button if you believe in this reloaded Warriors squad, and don't forget to subscribe to Warriors Nation News, because this season, the Bay is about to remind the world what championship basketball looks like.